form of false witnessing because it distorts how others are seen. You see what I'm saying? It's false witnessing because it distorts the way that other people are seen. It reshapes their image in the minds of others. Then you have the lie of silence. We talked a little bit about this before. We already saw this, right? It says, if a person, Leviticus 5:1, if a person sins in hearing the utterance of an oath and is a witness, if he does not tell it, he bears guilt. Silence can be a form of participation. I remember being a child and being bullied. It was very easy to bully me because I was an annoying child. That doesn't mean that you should bully annoying children, right? Many children are annoying in many cases. I work with them, I know. Now, I remember being bullied when I was a kid, and you know what hurt the most? It wasn't the actual person bullying me. It was my friends laughing along with the bully. That's what hurt the most. So remaining quiet to avoid discomfort, saying nothing to avoid the consequences, withholding truth when it's needed, at times silence is wisdom. But at other times, silence is complicity. So you need to be careful. The fifth, the self, something that God never wants us to do. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Be who you are. By the grace of God, you are what you are. And that's what Martin Luther said. By the grace of God, I am what I am. And so you need to understand, of course, we're trying to get better. We're trying to trail the path of sanctification every day. But the moment that you start to misrepresent yourself, you're playing very fast and loose with the ninth commandment. The Bible speaks directly of this tendency. It says in Proverbs 16, verse 2, all the ways of a man are pure in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the spirits. The Lord knows what's going on in your mind and in your heart. The most difficult truth to speak is often the truth about ourselves. Friends, we live in a culture of falsehood. It's been normalized, right? This goes beyond individual speech. The Bible recognizes this reality. Falsehood can become normalized. Psalm 12, verse 2, it says, they speak idly, everyone with his neighbor, with flattering lips and a double heart they speak. Psalm 58, verse 3 says, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they're born. Doing what? Speaking lies. So at some point, distortion becomes natural. Exaggerations become expected. Truth becomes negotiable. You know, for whatever reason, this is a vulnerability that I have. The tendency to exaggerate. And I'm very thankful to God for the wife that I have for many reasons. Because Danny will not let me exaggerate. There are times where it's easy. I don't know how you say it in English. In Portuguese, it's like fisherman's tales. Is that a thing in English as well? I'll tell you, pastors have a vulnerability towards that. We're talking about these things and we start to make the story bigger than it actually was. And so later on, Daniel will come and say, that's not how it happened. So I need to, and it just becomes natural. So Lord, help me with that. I pray about that. It's one of those things that I need to constantly be on the watch for because it's easy. And it's become normalized. We exaggerate. We make things bigger than what they were, smaller than what they were. And this is where everything comes together because this exaggeration becomes expected. Truth becomes negotiable. The ninth commandment, by definition, includes avoiding obvious lies, but also recognizing how easily our speech can drift away from the truth. Sometimes intentionally, other times habitually, and even other times, sometimes without noticing it. There are times I lay my head down at night to sleep, and I'll think throughout my day, and I'll say, why did I say what I said? It might have been the truth, but it was a misrepresentation of, the narrative. It's easy for us to fall to these things. I would actually, encourage you when you go to bed, or, I don't know, when I have a hard time sleeping immediately. So if you can do that, I am jealous of you. But, holy jealousy. But there's some time in your day where you can contemplate about, your day or the way that you, the things that you're doing. Contemplate about your day. Think about your day. Revisit it. That's the way that you can then grow to learn to grow in the different things that you need to learn to grow in. But here, even if it's not intentional or intentional or without realizing, the effect is the same. Reality is distorted. People are misrepresented. Trust is eroded. And the Bible does not treat this lightly. This is serious. Because every time we speak, we're doing more than just communicating. We're aligning ourselves with the truth, or we're reshaping it. And that's the tension that this ninth commandment forces us to face. Now, let's go to the next kind of truth, right? We talked about truth in in testimony, truth in speech. Now, let's talk about something that goes even deeper. It's truth in our heart. We live before a God that he knows everything. Up to this point, the commandment has moved from a courtroom into everyday speech. But the Bible doesn't just stop with what we say, it goes deeper. Again, we read this before. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. You'll see that there are a few verses that I'm going to repeat because I want to drive the idea home. False witnessing is not just or not only an issue of speech, of what you say, it's an issue of the heart. It's not primarily just words. It goes beyond words. It's what words produce. So let's talk about this. There are different kinds of lies in this context. The lies of the heart. For example, the lie of fear. One of the most basic forms of falsehood is fear. A person who separates the truth to avoid the consequences because they're afraid of the consequences. They deny, they shift blame. And here I'm not talking about biblical fear, the good kind of fear. I'm talking about you being afraid, and so you avoid situations, avoid realities in order to, deny, to shift blame, to protect yourself. It might become a defense mechanism. And the pattern, it stays with us. Because the Bible is straight. It's direct when it deals with this. Numbers 32:23, be sure that your sin will find you out. The lie may solve the immediate problem, but it creates a deeper one. Because now there's a lie to maintain, something to protect, something to hide, and that produces an internal instability. Have you ever had to maintain a lie? That's why we talk about people who are caught in webs of lies. Because one lie, since it distorts reality, it requires a further lie and a further lie. And the only way out is by breaking that with the truth. That's why the Bible says clearly, we'll read the text, but the truth sets you what? Free. There's also the lie of self. Lies that we tell about ourselves. Not always outwardly, not always to others, but even inwardly. We reshape reality to preserve our image,